Kartikeya, take us back to where you were on this day 22 years ago.
See, I was working for a magazine. I was walking towards Parliament from the PTI building, and I heard, I wouldn't say heard shots, but I heard something like a cracker burst. And the first thought was, well, you know, maybe people are bursting crackers. And at that point of time, Parliament Annexi and the Parliament, there were two different compounds.
Yeah.
So you had a road, so you understood, you know, there was a busy vehicular traffic. You didn't have too many barricades between Railway Bhavan and Vijay Chowk. You know, you could just park yourself outside with your mics to that area which was built during Indira Gandhi's tenure, from where the journalists would enter. Then I started walking fast, and I suddenly realized there was a guy, I think a CRPF, who was being thrown off the wall. And then I realized that the shooting has happened, because one of them said, "What are you doing here? Run away, terrorists are inside the complex."
Right.
And by that time, I think the last shot had been fired, because I think it was after 20 minutes or 10 minutes that I heard a shot, and then later we came to know that SPG had actually shot the last terrorist. Right. So instead of running towards my office, the first instinct was I ran towards the spot. Right. So and the gates were shut. So what I did was I ran through Vijay Chowk, went past the main gate, but then a gentleman who was in charge, who was in PM security then, Prabhakar, he was there, and he caught hold of my hand, Prabhakar. And you know, the second thing I realized that he was on me on the ground, right in front of the main gate of the Parliament.
Right.
Basically, he must have thought that the firing is still on. So everyone was lying down, and then I couldn't get up for next 1.5 hours, because everything shut, and I saw, after some time, columns of military come in.
Right.
That was something unexpected at point of time. Vijay Chowk, the military coming in, and those who were outside. Those who were inside couldn't come out, and it was surreal, because people don't recall, there was hours and days there was a talk of the missing terrorist then.
Yes.
The missing terrorist.
A sixth terrorist.
The sixth terrorist.
Yes.
So you know, the people just couldn't get up. People couldn't move for next 1.5 hours till everything was sanitized. It was ensured that the bodies aren't booby trapped. Even then, there was a you know, people had an idea that, you know, the terrorists can booby trap you know, the bodies. After that, you know, people came out, and then we understood the enormity of the situation, that people have died, but they couldn't enter the. You see, this Parliament is very different from the Parliament which has been built now. This Parliament does not allow for people to move in a triangle. You know, you can't move like that. But in the earlier Parliament, you could enter from gate number 4, and you could find yourself at gate number 12, or then you can go to the top floor, come back downstairs, and you can actually crisscross from one part of the Parliament to other. The only two areas you were not allowed were the ways which connected the Lok Sabha chamber, which is Lok Sabha, and the Raj Sabha. But there was one way which connected one side of the Parliament to the other, and that was one through which you could access the Central Hall. So, you know, this Parliament is different from...
There's a lot of access control over here. Yeah.
But, and people also don't realize one thing. You couldn't have jumped like this in Lok Sabha.
Right.
You would have landed on the chairs.
Right.
Because in Lok Sabha, the older Lok Sabha, you would bang on top of the speaker. Yeah. This is more like Rajya Sabha, where you can see the chair. Right. That's how the Rajya Sabha in the older house is. But for them to jump, what surprises me is that there's a watch and watch staff which allows you to sit in a way. You sit like this. You can't sit like this.
Yes.
You can't sit with your legs crossed like that. Even if you know, if you wanted to hear something, the watch and watch would say, "Dhyan se apni pen piche kariye." Nothing should fall. Yeah. I'm surprised that there was no reaction when they got up, and you know, you know, there was no reaction, and people don't understand one thing, that there is no security in the house.
When the house is in,
and the only security is there when the Prime Minister is in the house, because only SPG is allowed to be in the house, and you have those holding areas for the PMO officers.
Yes.
It is where the two SPG guys would sit, or 3.
Yes.
They are the ones who carry the weapon. I'm just thinking, if PM was there, and the SPG would have been there, they possibly would have... I don't know what would have happened.
Exactly. I mean, that's a
because, you know,
nightmarish scenario there.
Absolutely, because they are allowed there.
Yes.
And if you look at this, If you look at this,
Yes.
MPs caught hold of them.
News 9 Plus. Download now.